1-0, 1-0. What a week. What a win for Illinois. I know it's not about Illinois. It's fate to Duce, but we still got to celebrate like it's 2001. So I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always by Kevin Duce. Matt McCumber will be joining us, but just in small segments as he is on a work trip in New Orleans, Nolans. So his picks will be coming in as we discuss them. Thanks again for everybody tuning in. We appreciate you, for everybody who follows along on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and X. So thanks again. We appreciate you here. Kev, we're gonna go over 5 games this week, everybody. And then, of course, the lock for each of them. As of right now, as the standings, Kev, you are 7-4, man. How you feeling?
All right. Got a little bit lucky last week. Also made some rookie mistakes. And I can't believe I did that with Sam on the show. I talked about home dog in prime time. Yes, South Carolina was the home team. It was my failure to realize that game was played in Charlotte. Obviously, it wasn't played in Columbia, South Carolina. Rookie mistake. I apologize for that for everybody. Hey, Penn State saved my hide from having a losing week last week by scoring a touchdown with no time left. James Franklin, like me, had the Nittany Lions minus 20.5. What a bullshit touchdown by Penn State.
Yeah, how are you on locks? Are you 1-1 or are you 2-0 though?
2-0 with
so the lock though, that's where you're putting your money. That's where I have been.
Yes.
And I've been putting my money there for Matt too, so I really haven't made anything. So 0-2 for Matt. 2-0 for Kev. Matt's 3-8, but he had a lot better week last week. So I think 0-4 to 3-4 last week. So I think he's going to work on that continuing trend here. So let's get to it, Kev. The first game on the docket here, I think probably the biggest game. I think most people would say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be Texas and Alabama, Kev. So right now it's got Alabama is a 7-point favorite, and that is in Tuscaloosa, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So obviously at home, and I get why they're a touchdown. I'm shocked it's not a little bit more than that, Kev. And even though I'm not making any picks, Kev, we're going to start with you on this first round. Kev, what you got?
I think it's a little bit of a revenge spot. Texas had Alabama last year, gave them all that they wanted, and couldn't quite pull out the victory. And that was with, Bryce Young. And I think Alabama's quarterback issues, shouldn't say issues, they're just, Jalen Monroe's a good player. It's funny how they went from Bryce Young, who looks like somebody I could put in my pocket, to Jalen Monroe, who looks like a freaking run it, like a 6'2", 220 pounds. He's built like a linebacker damn near. He was their leading rusher in week 1 against MTSU. They lost Jahmyr Gibbs. I know Alabama has just always seems to reload with talent. I just have some concerns. 7 points seems too much to me. I think Quinn Ewers is really good. I think Hudson Card is really good. If Hudson Card can't win a job there, it's because Quinn Ewers is really talented. And Hudson Card was a key component last year in Texas almost winning that game. I'm going to take – I hate doing this because I don't like either team, but I'm going to take the Longhorns plus the 7. I'll be honest here. We take games on the Fade 5 talk about games that people want to hear about, right? This is probably not a game I'm actually taking, but when I talked about last year. But in this case, it's the biggest game on the docket this week. It's a game fans want to hear about. They want to know. I think 7's too big of a number. I think Bama wins, but probably by a field goal. Give me Texas and the points.
So, okay, a little surprised. I thought more people would be on Bama winning by maybe 10 to double digits.
If it's a night game, it's at home, it's game day. All the intangibles say that it's Bama, but I think Texas got a little something going.
All right, Matt, what say you?
What up, Fade the Deuce fam? It is Matt McCumber. I'm reporting live here from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here on a work trip and won't be able to join live, so sending my picks now via video link. Sorry I missed y'all, but I will catch y'all next weekend. First game on the docket is the UT Longhorns at the Alabama Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa. A lot of storylines here. You got Jalen Monroe, the quarterback at Alabama that used to be committed to Texas. He decommitted when Quinn Ewers committed to Texas. And then Steve Sarkisian, who was at Alabama, was basically recruiting Monroe to Alabama. Now they're on opposite sides of the field. You got the game in Austin last year, which ended in a 20-19 win for the Bama Crimson Tide by the skin of their teeth. It went down to the wire. Jalen Milroe had an unbelievable debut with 3 touchdown passes and 2 running. Quinn Ewers looked great too. I think he threw for two or three touchdowns as well, but started a little slow. I think the Alabama Crimson Tide defense is really, really good, stacked. The home crowd at Tuscaloosa, I think it's going to be hard for Ewers to get a lot of things going. I expect a pretty close game in the first half, but Bama always finds a way. They always pull away, especially at home. I'm not betting against Nick Saban at home. Give me Alabama -7.
Matt, I mean, but yeah, nice beard, Matt. I think it looks good. So that's Mr. McCumber's pick. I tend to maybe push more to that, but again, Kev, you're 7-4. I'm 0-0. So I mean, it's whatever. I know you're rolling with what you got there, and
and Matt made great points, and it actually makes me think. Like as I listen to Matt, we didn't get a chance to talk about this offline. Makes me kind of lean to the under, as a matter of fact, a little bit here. The over under 53.5. This game last year, I think it was like 20-19 or something like that. I might sprinkle a little bit on the under there, but I still, even with looking at an under, 7 points seems too big to me. So I think Matt and I are both in agreement that Alabama wins. I just think Texas stays within the number.
All right, so now we're gonna go to it's a fun matchup, but still it's Iowa. It's the Corn Festival. You know, it's the Corn Bowl. You got Iowa State and Iowa and Ames last year. 10-7 was the final. I'm thinking you're looking more, probably in my head, a little bit more than that points wise, but we're going to let Matt start off with this one, Kev. So Matt, what do you think happens in the Corn Bowl?
All right, guys, we're going to game 2 where the Iowa Hawkeyes travel to Ames, Iowa to face their in-state rival, the Iowa State Cyclones. This game is always a barn burner, always so close. Means a lot to the people in the state for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. I know the last 5 meetings have been decided by 10 points, by 3, by 1, by 10, and by 3. So again, always close. Great defenses on both sides. We know about Iowa's offensive struggles. They have seemed to rectify that a little bit with Cade McNamara, the transfer from Michigan. Led them on an opening drive with a TD pass, which is the first time that's happened in the Kirk Ferentz era. That's pretty hard to believe. But it did happen, so it looks like they're getting that rectified. Iowa State coming off a nice home win against UNI, 30-9. They had to play their redshirt freshman quarterback, Rocco Beck, because their starter is still out amid gambling allegations. So, yeah, kind of crazy, but that's where they're at right now. So he only threw 13 passes last week. They kept it on the ground a lot, but he did score twice. Had a nice game for his first start. But I'm going to go with the experience here with Cade McNamara. He knows what to expect. He's played in big games before. This will be a tough environment in Ames, but Iowa lost last year at Iowa against Iowa State. So again, that revenge factor, I'm going to play that in here. I'll take Iowa -4 in the points. I think, again, this is going to come down to the wire. Maybe a late TD from Iowa to seal it. I'll take Iowa -4.
All right, Kev, do you agree or disagree with Matt?
I got an over/under at 36.5 points, and I can get 4 points on it, and I get the home team, and I get a team. Frankly, I think it means a little bit more to Iowa State. I think Iowa's got bigger aspirations on the season. Iowa's talking about winning the Big Ten West. They're talking about potentially winning the Big Ten, going to Indy. They're feeling themselves a little bit with Cade McNamara. They still only put up 24 points against the Utah State team. It's not that good. And granted, Iowa State played UNI. I like catching points with the home team here. I'm going to take Iowa State +4.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, Iowa State, I agree with your point that Iowa State wants this a little bit more than Iowa. I feel like they always kind of have, even though Iowa had a nice little advantage for a while. But, Matt Campbell's came in there and shook things up just a little bit. So
Yeah, Matt Campbell's been an offensive guy, and and it's weird because they've been really good defensively, even though they put some guys with some talent in the NFL. Alan Lazard, Brees Hall, but they have been a really good defensive team under him. I like his creativity. I'm not saying Iowa State wins this, but I think the game stays within 4 points.
Yeah. So let's, Kev, on the next game here, let's start with you. I think that's fair enough. We're going to do Nebraska. We're going to do Nebraska and Colorado. And before you delve in, I think, this is a tricky one. And I'm glad we included it because you saw how many points Colorado put up last week. Is that fool's gold because TCU doesn't play defense? Or is that because Colorado just has that many really good players? Is Shedeur Sanders that good? Or did TCU just really, drop the ball and lose that many good players, Kev? So we're going to start with you. We're going to roll with you, Nebraska and Colorado.
All right. This game has a lot of hype around it.
Colorado's 3-point favorite. Yep.
Yeah, obviously. This game had to be included because it's probably the most intriguing matchup outside of Alabama, Texas, right? And it's because Deion Sanders brings attention wherever he goes. I frankly wouldn't touch this game like this because my read here is completely Colorado, right? I saw a team with an explosive offense. They've got weapons all over the field. Travis Hunter, Edwards, the running back, Shedeur Sanders. Colorado's feeling themselves. They're at home. It's going to be a raucous crowd. But Nebraska showed me something from a physicality standpoint against Minnesota that Matt Rule's brought in. Now, granted, Minnesota might be Illinois 2022 good on defense. I mean, that team is a great defense, but they have no weapons on offense. They are really, really limited in what they can do offensively. So that's why Nebraska was able to maintain the lead that game. The thing here is on the surface, -3 from an experienced gambler standpoint says jump on Nebraska, right? Nebraska was a 9.5-point favorite 2 weeks ago when the line opened, and now it's moved all the way to -3. That's a 12.5-point swing. The challenge with college athletes is you just had you were the game of the week. You were the attention of the week. You got all of a sudden your quarterback's in the Heisman Trophy conversation. You've got the best two-way player supposedly since Charles Woodson. You've got one of the best two-way players in the history of the sport in Deion Sanders. You've got all the eyeballs on you. You're at home. It's all this crazy. Are they going to feel themselves too much this week? All that being said is I can't take Nebraska here. It's the biggest thing that I think Colorado has going for themselves is they're at home and their fan base is freaking stoked. And that place is going to be a nut house. There is a little bit of elevation issues in Boulder. Give me the Buffaloes minus the 3 points. But like I said, I wouldn't touch this typically, but it is too exciting. And we got to talk about the fun games on Fade the Deuce.
Hey, I hear you. Definitely. And we got to be honest. It's too bad we're not talking about Illinois this week. I know we did a little bit, but it stinks. You still can't put any dang money on it in the state of Illinois, which I'm hoping at some point soon that gets changed, Kev.
I do too. But at the same point in time, look at the massive struggles. We just got done talking about Iowa State. Matt talked about Iowa State's quarterback. Iowa's without one of their best defensive tackles. That's caused massive problems with these college athletes betting in Iowa. On Iowa sports. So maybe it's the best that we can't. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Matt.
All right, guys. We got Game 3. The Nebraska Cornhuskers in Boulder playing Colorado. Probably the talk of all of college football, and rightfully so. I was at the game of Fort Worth against TCU this past weekend, and it was an incredible atmosphere and an incredible performance by the Buffs. Deion has that swag back at the program. 1-11 last year, and they went from way not ranked to being in the AP top 25 after 1 week. Maybe a little bit of an overreaction. I get that, but I saw this team with my very own eyes, and they have studs everywhere. They're really coached well, which I thought might be an issue. Play calling was great. Shedeur Sanders at quarterback, man, he just played like he had been there all of his life, coming from a HBCU. Travis Hunter, what can you say? 129 snaps on defense and offense during the game. Just electric stuff. I'm really high on this team just because I saw them with my own eyes. Nebraska, They played a really tough, hard game at Minnesota and kind of got unlucky again. I worry about the quarterback play, Jared Sims. Decent player, but 3 interceptions at Minnesota. I know his first year at Georgia Tech in 2020, he had 13. That's a problem for me. I'm going to go with a better quarterback here, and I know this is probably a trend, but when there are close games and spreads like this, I like to take the better quarterback. Shedeur Sanders showed me way more than I needed to see. 510 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Took care of the ball. Again, they've got athletes on the outside, skill players. And I just think that their pace and tempo is going to have to be something that Nebraska is going to have to control. I think Matt Rule will try to control that. I think the game will be slow a little bit at first, especially when Nebraska has the ball, but Colorado is going to go. This was at -2. I think it's moved to -3 now. I'm taking the Colorado Buffs -3 at home. That place will be electric. There won't be an empty seat in the stadium. Football is officially back in Boulder. There's just no way I see the Buffs losing this game. Nebraska has had a lot of tough times trying to win close games over the last 3 or 4 years, and I just don't see them winning a game, even if it's close, which the spread implies. So I'm taking Colorado -3, book it.
All right, you heard the man.
Yeah, and Matt talked about it too. I think the home field is going to make a big difference there.
So that is one that they agree on.
And one other thing, like people don't realize this, like Illinois fans may forget this was a rivalry, right? This was when the Big 8 expanded to the Big 12, and Nebraska lost the opportunity to play Oklahoma every year. Colorado became a de facto rival because they did play every year, being in the Big 12 North. So there's no love lost there between these two teams. And the Colorado fans are going to be really excited and really want to whoop Nebraska's butt. So they actually claim that they ended Nebraska who they were by beating them 62-36 in the Big 12 championship game back in 2001. So
I actually remember I actually enjoyed when they were both in the Big 12 together. I remember Bobby Purify and all those guys and Bill Callahan. I remember they had some really good matchups in the early mid-2000s. I always enjoyed those. So this is cool that they're getting back into doing this more. The next game on the docket, and Matt's going to lead off here. To me, this is super intriguing. You've got Luke Altmaier's old squad, Ole Miss, with Jackson Dart leading the reins against Tulane, who made the Cotton Bowl last year and actually beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. Fritz is their coach, I believe, right? Willie Fritz. He's got them off the Fritz, and he's definitely got them in a very, very good program. So this is not your typical Ole Miss, Conference Tulane, Conference USA Tulane, or even AAC Tulane. This is a legit tough squad. So, Matt, we're going to let you kick it off here. Go ahead. Let us hear what you got to say about Tulane.
All right, guys. Game number 4 as the Ole Miss Rebs come in to face the Tulane Green Wave here in New Orleans. And this is a matchup between 2 ranked teams. It's the only other game besides Texas and Alabama that pits 2 ranked teams against one another. And we all know that Ole Miss can score and score often, and Lane Kiffin is going to keep that pedal to the metal. They've got 3 quarterbacks that can play. Jackson Dart right now is the incumbent QB, and he had a great opening game. Though they played Mercer, it was 73-7, I think. They do have Spencer Sanders, the transfer from Oklahoma State, and also another LSU quarterback that was a transfer. So plenty of depth at the QB position, but this is Jackson Dart's job to lose. I expect a high-scoring game here. Both teams are going to go up and down. Tulane, dating back to last year, 11 out of the last 12 have been winners for them. They played South Alabama at home, and many were saying that they might lose to them, and they won convincingly, 37-17. Their QB looked really good, had 4 touchdown passes himself, and they've got some really good receivers on their side. They beat USC last year in the Cotton Bowl, so they can win these big games against Power 5 teams. I'm not really worried about that. Can they stop Ole Miss? That is the question. I think they can score and hang with them, hopefully within a 7. I know this line started out at -4 Ole Miss and is already up to 7.5 Ole Miss. I think that's just too much of a spread for me. So I'm going to take the home underdog here, plus 7.5, Tulane Green Wave. Give me them. See what they can do, see if they can put up some points, and hang in there with Ole Miss this week.
Well, Kev?
Well, all right. This is one of the games that I'm on, right? I'm on this one. Like this, and hopefully it's a green wave for me. I like Tulane. It's a home. They're a home underdog. Now, granted, it's not a prime time game, but it's a 2:30 game. It's a really well coached football team that has been in a lot of games. They're going to pack they're going to pack the place there. And listen, I haven't looked at the schedule to see when LSU's playing this weekend, and maybe I should. But listen, if LSU fans have a chance to come support Tulane to beat Mississippi, you better damn well believe they're going to do it. Tulane has got some talent. They've returned Pratt, the quarterback, who was their starting quarterback last year, had 27 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He was beautiful. He was amazing in their first game against South Alabama. A very good South Alabama team, like Matt said. That a lot of people had Tulane on upset alert, and Tulane gave them the business. Pratt was 14 of 15 for like 294 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. They got one of their top receivers back, and then they also got another kid who's a transfer from Notre Dame. The South produces a ton of athletes. They've got a ton of speed. Yes, they're missing the guy, the running back who's in the NFL now, Tyree Sparks or something like that. I can't remember his name. But I'm just telling you, I halfway thinking about sprinkling a little bit on the money line here. Over under would be a little bit juicy too. Is like Matt said, there's going to be a lot of points. I'm not sure if the public's going to be reacting in time to where that number's at. But I think that I think Tulane's a pretty darn good team, and I think Willie Fritz has got the program, like I said, in the right direction. They keep it within the number. So I love getting the points with the home team here.
All right, moving on to our last actual game of the week until we get to our locks pick. So that was one we wanted to discuss and find out what's a good and intriguing matchup. Well, to me and Kev, it's a Big Ten team and a team last year. Did Washington State go into Wisconsin and beat them? Or
it did.
Yeah, they went into Wisconsin and beat Wisconsin and Madison. So there's a revenge factor here. But I watched Washington State in week 1. They look pretty good. This is going to be a tough game for Wisconsin. I'll tell you this: if Wisconsin covers here, I will be supremely impressed, and I will actually believe that Wisconsin's a little bit better than I think. So that's just my take on it. I try to watch as much college football as I can. I actually enjoy watching the West Coast matchups. So, Kevin, we're going to start with you. Wisconsin heads to Pullman to take on Wazoo. What say you?
Once again, it's another home underdog, and I like them. It's a home underdog in an interconference, regional conference games. Like you got the Big Ten and Pac-12. That's one of the best home games they probably had there in a long time, and they're going to be really home non-conference games. That crowd's going to be really into it. I think it's a pretty darn good Washington State team. And yeah, the score ended up showing out this week with Buffalo and Wisconsin. That Wisconsin handled business, but Wisconsin didn't cover. I was actually on that on Saturday, by the way. I took Buffalo. Obviously, I didn't take it on Fade the Duce, which I would have. I like Wazoo to stay within the number. It's Luke Fickell's first road game there, Wisconsin. Mordecai made a few mistakes in that Buffalo game. You're stepping up in competition here against a good Wazoo team. Give me Washington State and the points, please.
All right, Matt. Do you differ from Kevin? Let's find out.
All right, guys, our fifth and final play of the week is Wisconsin traveling all the way out west to face the Washington State Cougs in Pullman, Washington. Wisconsin started a little slow at home versus Buffalo. It was 14-10 at half, but picked it up late in the second half and ended up winning by 21 points. Luke Fickell era has started 1-0, bringing a little bit of the air raid to Wisconsin, which really hasn't been seen there in quite some time. Usually have those really good running backs running behind those big offensive linemen. They still have Chaz Malusi, who had a great game, over 150 yards rushing last week, 89 on one play, and transfer Tanner Mordecai from SMU, who threw it over 30 times, which, again, is pretty unheard of for a Wisconsin quarterback. Throwing it a lot more lately. On the flip side, you got Washington State Cougs, which is the original air raid. Shout out Mike Leach. Their quarterback, Cam Ward, 49 passes last week for 451 yards. They're going to pass, and they're going to pass some more. They've got great receivers and athletes on the outside. It really boils down to two pretty good defensives here. Can Wisconsin defensive backs hold the airway down for Washington State? It's going to be a 7:30 game under the lights. This game's at +6.5. And I'm going to take the Washington State Cougs. This is a rematch from last year where Wisconsin had to escape at home on a late field goal, 17-14. So give me the Cougs and the points. It will come down to some quarterback play, but I think it's going to ultimately be the defenses, and I don't trust the Wisconsin defensive backfield yet. And I think Washington State's going to score enough to cover the spread here.
All right, Kev. Agree? Disagree?
No, so I'm with it. I'm on Washington State, so I'm gonna take that one with. I'm following Matt on that one. So
all right, were we wrong about last year's game? I could have swore Washington State won.
No, Matt was wrong. Washington State won that 17. He had the right score. He just inverted it.
Okay, because that got me a little flustered. I'm thinking, wait a second.
No, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I knew I remembered Washington State celebrating on that field, so I was like, man. All right, Matt. So we're gonna have him. We're gonna have him lead off with our locks. I know, Kev, you're excited. We might actually have an NFL game to talk about. So that might be fun, Kev. You know what? We never know. NFL Week 1 is starting tomorrow, folks. So I hope you're excited as we are. We're actually going to be incorporating that into half of our picks from now on. We're going to have probably 3 and 3 college, 3 pros, and then a lock with the NFL starting. So, Matt, let's see what you got.
All right, guys, the moment you have all not been waiting for, because it is my lock of the week time, and I am 0-2. So, Lord, I might need to change the title of that. But I'm going to go back out to Boulder for Colorado, Nebraska, and I'm going to take the under 59.5. I think this number is inflated because of how Colorado played last week and how they scored against TCU. I do not think TCU is very good on defense. They lost a lot in the secondary. They obviously gave up 45 points to Colorado, a team that went 1-11 last year. Yes, there were new players on Colorado's roster, but I just see this number as way overinflated for the market and a little bit of an overreaction. And so I'm going to go under 49 or 59.5. I think Matt Rule, when Nebraska has the ball, he's going to try to control the tempo, slow it down a little bit. I think Colorado will score here. I'm thinking right around maybe 35-17, 35-14, somewhere in there. But I think Nebraska's defense is pretty serviceable. They did a good job at Minnesota last week. Yes, there will be 2 different offenses that they have just going to have to go against. But give me the under 59.5 just because of market inflation. And let's finally get us a lock of the week. Hope you all are doing well. Thanks for having me, and I'll see y'all next week. Take care.
You the man, Matt. Market inflation. I think that's what's going to get him his first lock of the week. Market inflation. Kevin's disagreeing, but Kev, you are 2-0 in your lock. So, people, if you're listening, you might want to keep that ear a little bit closer to your speakers here. Go ahead, Kev. Bless us.
All right, so this is a different ball game, and you said this we're going to incorporate some NFL, and I shook my head. I was like scrumpled up my face because I think the NFL is really hard, right? I think the NFL is where the sharps are awesome, and the pros are awesome, and the Joes suck. And I'm a Joe, right? I'm not going to pretend I'm a pro here, but dude,
We're gonna have fun. That's why we're gonna have fun, though. We are. I want to incorporate some pros.
I don't get this line. I don't get it. They suck. They're not good. Their quarterback is trash, and they're playing a team trending in the right direction. The Indianapolis Colts are terrible. Anthony Richardson is not ready to be an NFL quarterback, and it is going to rear its head on Sunday. The Jacksonville Jaguars giving 4.5 or 5. I don't care. If I was in Vegas, I'd ramp that thing up to. I might have a little fun with it and get a whole bunch of juice and ramp that thing up to 14.5 or 17. I think Jacksonville smashes Indianapolis in this spot. So give me the Jaguars -5 for my lock of the week. It was 4.5. I think it's moved. I just don't see it. I think the Jacksonville's got a good team. They've got a good solid defense. They've got a great offense, and I'm just not buying anything. I'm not buying anything Anthony Richardson or Indianapolis right now. Anthony Richardson has a ton of tools. He is a really athletic quarterback, but it's Michael Pittman, and who else are they? I mean, like, I don't know where their weapons are. There's no Jonathan Taylor.
They're working out James Robinson, and then they've got a bunch of other guys I've never heard of.
Can play Evan Hull? I mean, like,
Evan Hull, yeah.
Oh,
I think he got like 90 yards on Illinois, so there you go.
I really like that. I do want to add in a couple other picks here for some folks. These aren't part of the fade. These aren't part of the fade and Duce. These won't be part of the stats, but I want to put it on record here. Minnesota, Eastern Washington, 48.5 points is the over/under. Where in the hell is the 48.5 points going to come from? Because Eastern Michigan sure as crap ain't scoring any points. I mean, they might get a touchdown. They might put up 10. But Wisconsin going to go hang 38 on them? That's how. Now maybe what this is. Frankly, I don't think Eastern Michigan's going to score. I really don't. I mean, I think Minnesota might shut them out. I think this might be a 38-0 game, and that covers well within the 48.5 number. The other number, people are still too slow to react to this. Purdue's defense is dog shit. They have no players there. Jeff Brom was not recruiting. It finally reared its head there that Jeff Brom was not recruiting athletes on the defensive side of the ball. And I do believe Ryan Walters is a good coach. And I really do like the guy. I was watching the game against Fresno State on Saturday, and I was seeing him on the sidelines. I can't help but respect that man and respect what he did for our program. Appreciate him. Just wish the hell he wouldn't have gone to Dan Purdue. That number's 46.5. Give me the over all day long on that one. Like, Purdue's not stopping anybody, but yet they have a pretty good offense. They've definitely got some pieces on offense. They got Maccabee, Hudson Card look really good. I see another game probably in the 60s between those two. So give me the over Purdue and Virginia Tech 46.5.
I like it a lot. So really quick before we end this, you said on Keeping It Orange and Blue on Sunday, Kansas 31, Illinois 27. Forget the line and the spread. You still think Kansas wins?
My head says yes. My heart says no. My gut says no. My gut. I've got a weird gut feeling we're going to pull this one out. So right. I normally trust that one. And here's the thing: Ryan and I talked about this before the show. We talked about it with Matt. I don't really want Illinois in the fade the Duce segment, and that's because we're going to give our predictions on the standard Sunday shows. But I never ever bet on or against Illinois. That's just it's a diehard thing with me. I don't bet on or against my teams. And so I won't want to do that. And plus, we're going to give you what we think our predictions are as part of the show because it's fun and people want to hear it. But I don't really want to do it on the show, and I hope everybody can feel me on that one.
I just wanted to clarify, since we're on the show, if you still felt Kansas was going to win. But
I got a gut feeling said that Illinois was going to pull this out. I think we fixed some things, and Kansas comes in feeling themselves a little bit. I do worry about it being a night game, but I like the fact they're wearing black, and it's still going to be light out when the game starts.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I just think
maybe 9 at kickoff. Ooh.
Yeah, I just think that the defense is going to show up. So we got Mr. Andre Ward, former Heisman Trophy winner, caught one of the on the play-by-play. Narif Sharan, I think. Yeah. It's actually a decent crew. I enjoy that crew on ESPN too. So less than 48 hours. Yes, less than 48 hours away. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode of Fade the Deuce, Kev. I'm so glad that we could get Matt, via video, which is awesome. It worked out, but I just wanted to make sure the show was happening. We weren't going to have any lulls in it. NFL starts tomorrow, Kev. A big week of football. I'm ready to roll.
Tomorrow night will be really interesting to see if Travis Kelce is out, how Kansas City is going to react, because it's basically taking away all the pass catching weapons that Mahomes has had when that happens. Don't get me wrong, Juju Smith-Schuster's a fine receiver, Sky Moore's okay, Marquez Valdes-Scantlin's okay. That's a bad receiver room in the NFL. Where they differentiated themselves with Travis Kelce, it might sprinkle a little bit on the under.
Man, you know what? You just mentioned that. I was trying not to think about it. Thank goodness it isn't serious, not just for myself, but in the fantasy draft I just did on Sunday, I picked Travis Kelce. Is in the number one spot. I picked Kelce. So,
if it's a tight independent league, it's a great pick. He's the stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it is a tight independent league. Yes. So, but still, it just hurt me earlier or yesterday when I was like, oh. They're like, oh, he's not playing week 1. I'm thinking, oh, man, and then when they said, oh, it was no, severe damage to his ACL, I was like, all right, great, because I was about to maybe retire from fantasy. All right, y'all, that's going to do it. We appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week. Episode 4, Fade the Deuce. We'll be back Sunday night, keeping it orange and blue. We appreciate you all. Swami out.
ILL.